Welcome to the Train Like a King podcast, your go-to source for all things paddling. Get inspired to hit the water with expert insights and motivation. Visit Train Like a King for training plans, paddles, merchandise, and more. Don't miss out. Follow and subscribe to stay tuned for every episode. Kia ora guys, Tupuria King here. Welcome back to another Train Like a King podcast episode. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about my very first experience as a dragon boat paddler. So just last weekend, myself and a few other outrigger paddlers, wakaama paddlers, were called up last minute to participate in the New Zealand Dragon Boat National Championships. Now, it was... Well, I did have a little bit more notice than others. So we were contacted by a team in the South Island, Christchurch, Tumeke, by Caleb and Teagan. And yeah, I thought, this was a good opportunity to tick another watercraft off the list. So I said, why not? And the bro Mitch and Ngātuere and a few others. There were a few, there's a few paddlers in there that already do both wakaama and dragon boat, but there were a few of us newbies. Jeff and his son Naya from Auckland. So it was cool to finally tick that off the bucket list. So it was 2 days of racing, Friday and Saturday, and the events were 200 meters, 500 meters, and a 2 kilometer race. Now, the 2 kilometer race was what you call big boat. So 20 people, and it was mixed, basically roughly 50-50 male and female, 20 people. But we also had small boat for the 500 and the 200. So there were 5 events in total that I competed in. There could have been more, but basically in the world of dragon boat, apparently there's not enough males to fill a full 20 boat competition for the males. So come on, Tainema. This is a shout out to you. I would definitely recommend getting over there and giving it a go. So first impressions, getting there and jumping in for the first time. The most unique thing about the dragon boat, obviously, is the fact that you don't change sides. So I was a little bit curious to see how that would feel. Also, the canoe itself, when you hop in, you do notice the element of balance. So the balance in the dragon boat is like, the weight can typically sway to one side, and that depends on the water conditions, the power, the power output of each side, and the weight distribution as well. All these things. So every now and then, the side that you're sitting on will sink quite low to the water, which means the opposite side is quite high. So I think you don't quite notice when you're high, but you definitely notice when you're low, because you're worried about the water coming in. So if it's rough enough, then there's a pretty significant chance that those things can swamp or tip. And I know that Tumeke have done that in the past. They have some photos of them capsizing and the canoe filling up with water, and basically you can't finish the race if that happens. And so yeah, that was probably the most difficult part about it. But I would say it's still not that bad. Like, the balance aspect of being in those canoes is not the hardest thing. Like, if you compare it to, say, my transition to the surf ski or the K1, that was like a whole nother level of balance. Like, you can't just jump in a K1 on race day and go out there and race. But in a dragon boat you can. So that's quite a good thing about that crossover. If you're looking to make that crossover to dragon boat, is that it's a pretty balance friendly sport, as long as you cater to the weight distribution well. and the power distribution too. So try and even up each side with with weight and power. So you kind of like have to team up with a buddy. So I was teamed up with Mitch the entire time, because we're pretty similar power output. No, and what we chose to do is basically, so we ended up racing 13 races over the course of the 2 days. So that's that was a lot, but it was cool because it was 2 days of just like lots of racing and, just in and out, get it done. And it was awesome. But most dragon boaters, they have a favorite side and they don't tend to change. This is what we noticed, is that they don't tend to change from their favorite side. So they stay on that side all throughout the competition. But me and Mitch, we thought like we want to, we're outrigger paddlers. We want to kind of even up both sides. So every race we were switching. And because we were buddies, it didn't really matter. We're pretty similar weight and we're just pretty similar. So once you have your buddy system, we were just switching every race. And then that way you get the best of both worlds, train both arms and get a good workout, Unfortunately, the bro Jeff, he wanted to change, but he was next to a experienced dragon boater, so he didn't get the opportunity to change because obviously the dragon boater had his favorite side. But yeah, something always worth considering, I guess. Like if you're training dragon boat long term, is like, yeah, do you bother changing sides, or do you try and focus on getting really good at one side? I don't know, but I would say that outrigger paddling, a lot of the dragon boaters do outrigger, whether that's in a single craft V1 or OC1, and that will significantly improve your dragon boat paddling and vice versa. But, it's long term, I think it's pretty good to be able to paddle on both sides. The other interesting aspect of it is the seating. Now, I always looked at the dragon boat and I wondered like how comfortable a dragon boat was. And to be honest, it isn't actually that uncomfortable. Like, so you've got, although in a 20 boat, you don't have a lot of space between you and the person in front of you, you still have a lot of space next to you, like seating wise, unless you're right at the back end where it squeezes up tight. But you've still got a good bit of room there. And then what I really liked was you have a couple of notches on the ground for your foot placement. So you have one up the front and you actually have one under your seat, so you can actually push off the one in the front and the one in the back to help lock you into your seat. And then you can really scooch up to the side of the canoe to really get close to the water there. As long as you and your partner are doing similar things, weight distribution wise, because I guess you can lean further into the boat if you feel like the canoe's starting to get pretty low on your side. You can bring your weight distribution in or out depending on what it's doing. But yeah, in waka, your stroke side leg is usually forward. And I was pretty much doing the same in the dragon boat, stroke side leg forward, so that you could get like good drive through your stroke. However, because I was stuck on that one side, and especially in say like the 2K, I found myself switching my legs halfway during the race, like or throughout the race, just to give my legs and my hips a bit of a rest, because that was the only thing I could change. Obviously couldn't change sides, so I was switching my legs around that kind of helped me get through it. But obviously we're changing between races anyway, so that was good. Now, everything about the stroke is very similar. Like it doesn't feel like you're that much different to an outrigger on a V6 than that. Like it's pretty similar. The run of the canoe is still pretty good. This overall speed of the canoe is still pretty good. It's like not like this. I would say it's not significantly slower than an outrigger. So like it would be good to test that with the same team in the V6 versus dragon boat. Like see what times they can get in the 500. I think we were getting just under 2 minutes, whereas I know the top top teams in a V6 are getting 145s and maybe even lower than that. So it is worth an investigation, but I would probably have to say that the outrigger is quicker. Just maybe it's more narrow, and yeah, the dragon boat might be, I can't remember what the weights were, but it might be a bit heavier. Anyway, yeah, it is a bit difficult in the 20 man, like I said, because you're so close to the person in front. You basically have to do the same as everyone else. So if the person in front of you isn't leaning a lot, then you can't lean a lot because you'll be just bumping into them. So if they're straight, then you've got to be pretty straight, So it becomes really important what kind of stroke you choose to use, because it's like, are you going to use your body as a team? Which I see a lot of, like, the top dragon boaters when you watch them. When I watch them online and the world champs and stuff like that, you see a significant level of use of the body movement, big use of the body and the big muscles. And it just goes to show how on point you have to be. Otherwise, you're just going to be hitting your person in front of you or in the back of you. So in the 6-man, we can afford to have a lot more space between us. There's a lot more space between us. So that alone, that makes dragon boat paddling quite a good form of cross training, because chuck them in a 20 boat, put them right next to each other. You have to really learn to be doing the same thing. Otherwise, you're going to be hitting each other quite a lot. So that was new, but it was cool. But then when you go into the small boat, well, what they call it small boat, but using the same size boat, the 20 man, but you've only got 10 people in it, you can space yourselves out. You can sit kind of alternately on each seat, and you've got a lot more space to move and drive and power. So yeah, that was fun. So basically the format is, we basically had the 2K was the first straight final, just one 2K race, and we managed to win that. Here are the medals, by the way, for those of you watching. Pretty awesome. And then the rest of the races, the format was basically 2 heats and then a final. So you got 2 opportunities to get a good time in the heats. They took your average, and then the top averages went to the final, and it was a race off. So we had the mixed 200, the men's 200, the mixed 500, and the men's 500. So the men's were small boats, the mixed were 20 boats. And we came away with 5 golds in the end. So pretty stoked with that. Went in with, pretty no expectations. But I would say, we've, just because we haven't done dragon boat doesn't mean we haven't been paddling for 20 years and whatnot. And it just goes to show how good the crossover can be for both outrigger and dragon boat. So the way that you train is the same. And I think if you're a dragon boat paddling, paddle dragon boat, I think you'll benefit from paddling outrigger. If you're an outrigger paddler, I think there's things that you can benefit from paddling dragon boat. And then you've also, the thing that I say, like, I've got a surf ski paddle in the back here, got a waka paddle, got stand-up paddle in the garage. The more watercrafts you do over time, like, the more experience you get, and then the more opportunities for races and time on the water you get. You may not become like the ultimate master of one craft if you spend your time like on lots of them. That's why I kind of like spend a good bit of time on it here, then I'll switch good bit of time here. Like right now I'm training for about to start 16-week plan into Worlds starting next week, and it's all going to be outrigger, so not a lot of time for surf ski or dragon boat or other crafts. But there will be a time where maybe you decide, I'm going to do the dragon boat nationals, and there's 8 weeks until that, and you focus on that and you join the club and paddle dragon boat. I don't know. But the more you understand the water, the the stroke, paddle, different paddling strokes, the better. The more you have in your toolbox, really, for paddling. So yeah, big shout out to Tumeke Sports from Christchurch, Aoraki, for having us. Big thank you to Caleb, Teagan, for sorting everything out. They made it super easy for us just to come in. Accommodation was awesome in Hamilton, and then just the whole vibe was great. First time meeting a lot of these paddlers and stuff, and it just felt like we'd been in the club for years. So yeah, it was a very good couple of well spent 2 days of racing, and congratulations to all the other teams. It was awesome meeting you guys. If you guys already had listened to this podcast prior to this, then thank you. But it was good to get to know a few more Dragon Boat paddlers and coaches. And yeah, really look forward to, hey, it's not the last, that's for sure, because now that I know that it's a very similar stroke and thing to outrigger, then I'm not going to be as afraid to jump in and give it a go. I always thought that the paddles that Dragon Boats use look quite big and sore, like sore in the sense that they had quite high load on them and that, but really no, they don't. They actually, if anything, very similar to outrigger paddling load, if not less load, because of how lean and narrow they are. So, but yeah, awesome experience. I'll do it again. I'd love to bring in like the elite men's team for a training session or future race. We'll see. Keep posted on that. And yeah, already had a couple of coaches reach out for some help towards their world championships in Italy this year. So yeah, I'm pretty keen to do that. Offer what I can from the outrigger world, and all the best for those of you who are training for Italy. Go and have some fun, and yeah, if you need a training plan, we offer those. So training blueprint. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. That's just a little insight into the Dragon Boat experience. Thank you for the amazing medals, and yeah, catch you guys on the next episode. Kia ora.